Welcome to the latest Motley Fool Scoreboard. I'm on in Chocolate Balloon. We've got longtime fools, Dan Kaplinger and Jim Gillies, giving a 1 to 10 rating to pandemic-era darling, and a company I'm always a little tiptoeing around. I don't think I ever pulled the trigger, but it's Fulgent Genetics, ticker symbol FLGT. It's going to be spirited. Talk about the strength of Fulgent Genetics business first, including factors like industry and competition. A 10 is invincible. A 1 is hopeless. Jim's at a 5. Dan, you're at a 4.
Yeah, I mean, Fulgent did really well during the early years of the COVID-19 pandemic because there was high demand for their testing products and their revenue shot through the roof. But as the pandemic evolved, so too did Fulgent's business in that area start to decrease. And that's left Fulgent just with its ordinary core of genetic testing. It's an extensive portfolio. You can test for thousands of different indicators, trying to detect things in the areas of like cancer, cardiovascular disease, reproductive health, neurodegenerative diseases. There's business there. It's just not as big of a business as what COVID-19 was for a while. The business is largely stabilized, but we haven't seen much growth lately, and it's unclear exactly when greater growth is going to materialize.
Yeah, so I recommended this one in the service I run, Hidden Gems Canada, a month before COVID, and it was based solely on the genetic testing business. My number is a 5, by the way. I'm actually shocked I'm higher than Dan on this one. This is not a company I like, frankly. But I did recommend it in the past, and I recommended it for the core genetics business, so testing business. So the COVID business that they stood up, for COVID testing, that was gravy. The problem is what's happened since then. The core genetics testing business is fine. It's a good little business. The pharma business they have, on the other hand, is a cash suck. I think we're going to talk more about that in a minute.
All right, let's talk about management then. 10 is Warren Buffett. A 1 is Homer Simpson. Dan's at a 4. Jim, here's where you shine with a 2.
Yeah, it's a 2. There is important caveat. I'm a little out of step with pretty much the rest of Fooldom, who generally like this one or generally like it. In November 2022, Fulgent Genetics acquired a business called Fulgent Pharma. Weird that the names are the same, eh? Turns out they were buying it from their own CEO, Ming Hsieh. Mainly, there were a couple other insiders on minority positions. Bluntly, I consider this self-dealing. It's not the only transaction I've found dodgy here. I could go on for an hour on what I think has transpired here and the other issues, but I'm going to save you that. Feel free to hit me up, via email if you want to know. I don't think you can trust management here. I really don't. They've very clearly indicated they will do what they want with public equity, and that to me is... That's a non-starter for me. The only reason I didn't call this a 1 is whatever else Ming Hsieh is, he's an incredibly smart man. And I'm not giving him a 1 for Homer Simpson. That's why they get a 2.
I gave him a 4. The only thing I'll add here is that when you look at what management decided to do with the stock, it was 2022 that they decided to pull the stock repurchase trigger and kind of rode the stock down from 100 at the beginning of the year to 30 towards the end of the year. After that, not nearly as much significant repurchase activity. That kind of, you don't like to see management buying high and then not getting any share price performance after that.
Jim's got me wondering if 1's a Homer Simpson is 2 like Peter Griffin. I'm not sure. For financials, a 10 is a Fortress. A 1 is Yikes. Both of you have 4s, Dan.
Yeah, like I said before, revenue's kind of stabilized since the big drop since the beginning of COVID. But expenses are still like really highly elevated. Companies losing money. Again, I'm not sure what the trajectory is to get it out of that money losing area.
Yeah, I sold this pretty much right after the self-dealing transaction I described earlier. And when I did, I flat out said, look, I'm going to have an opportunity to look stupid here because I was selling a $36 stock that had $30 of net cash on the balance sheet. Well, almost 3 years later, the stock is a $20 stock and they've got $25 a share on the balance sheet. So that's a combination of burning cash and increasing their shares. Dan is right. The buybacks did nothing. A negative enterprise value is something that shouldn't happen, fools. That's the market saying it either expects Fulgent to burn through its cash reserves without creating any value and probably obliterating the core business too, or that a good chunk of the cash is domiciled somewhere where it is inaccessible to the business here, or even potentially something more dire. So I'm running from that.
All right, Jim, I almost don't have to ask, but let's talk valuation. How well will Fulgent Genetics stock do over the next 5 years? How safe is it? 10's a sure thing, 1's a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I've got 0 to 5% and a safety score of 3. More cash than market cap is an interesting place to be, but the cash is falling over time. It's not producing more. There's a chance that returns are higher if Ming Hsieh takes this one private again, but he seems content to use it as a personal piggy bank. I mean, if it's such a great business, use your cash, buy it back, and put $5 a share in your pocket. But, something's wrong here, has been for years now. I have no interest, hence the low score.
I'd put it in the lower end of a 5 to 10% range with slightly higher safety score of 5. I think that the stock is already down so far. Any success that you'd see could see kind of a big bounce. This trades a little bit like a meme stock from time to time. There's enough short interest that you might get a short squeeze as well. That, I think, is a little bit of a floor under the stock at this point.
Thank you to both Dan and to Jim. They've given Fulgent a low overall score of 3.9 out of 10. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Domino's Pizza. Till then, Fool on. Can't blame you for the internet.
Blame Canada.
That's right.
You all better be hearing that song in your head the second I said that.
I know.